Good afternoon,
This call
everyone.
is now being recorded.
Good afternoon, everyone.
This
Um,
call is now being transcribed.
okay. Sorry, my other phone. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session um, of the WiLG's Women's Mentorship Program. I hope that you enjoyed yesterday's session. Today, we are going to be learning about storytelling and advocacy. And today, we have the amazing Mirya Sabo. Um, I would always start by sharing a brief history of how I met our mentors. And I met Mira when we were both part of the inaugural cohort of the Legislative Mentorship Initiative by the current Chief of Staff, Honorable Femi Bajabiamila. And she's somebody who radiates confidence. She's good at what she does. She has a lot of knowledge. She goes for what she wants. She's a huge advocate. She served as our minority leader then. She won her elections. It was really, really amazing how she could translate true storytelling, you know, get the buy-in of people to vote for her. And she has gone on to do amazing stuff. She's also a lawyer as well. And I mean, she has gone on to do super amazing stuff after that, and she continues to do amazing stuff. And she's somebody that I really, really admire, and I'm really happy that on this call we get to have a conversation with her. And today is really going to be an interactive session. So I want you to open up your hearts, your minds for learning. Be open to ask her any questions that you feel like you need clarity on, and I'm sure that she'll break it down to you to your own understanding. So without further ado, please let us all welcome Mirya Sabo. We give you the floor, and we're super excited to hear from you today. Thank you, Mirya.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Salvation Grace. It's nice to be here today because being here today really and just being able to speak to young people, speak to my age mates, speak to people older than me is really as a result of storytelling, right? I can remember my first story was when I was in GS1. I wrote a poem about change, literally like an entire poem, like chapter one. I wrote it was a big poem about change, and it had like when there are different meanings of change, and so every single poem explored that dimension. And I would never, when I was young, I would never believe that storytelling had so much power. For me, it was some sort of expression. And so just to reintroduce myself, I am Mirya Sabo. Um the majority leader, that was a bit of, I'm not minority, majority leader for the inaugural cohort of the LMI Parliament. And um, before I tell you my story of how I got there, I would like to start this session with a bit of activity. I see we have Chiamaka, Samuel Toyin, Salvation Grace, and Juliet Queen Yasmin. In 10 minutes, I want you to write a story. 3 paragraphs. It can be one sentence in every paragraph. It can be as many as you want, just in 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I would want you to write a story, any story, right? Just 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you cannot read your story out loud, feel free to put it on the chat box, okay? Can we do that? Just give me a thumbs up or a raising of your hand if we can do that. A very short story, 3 paragraphs. Anyone? Anyone available? Is everyone hearing me? Okay, awesome. So while we are writing the story, right, I'll now go ahead to tell my story. And then when you're done with your story in about, yes, by 11:20, we'll come back to your story. All right. So I'll start from a very close point, how I won the LMI election. One thing I would like to say is you are first the story you tell yourself before the story people read about you. When like why I'm starting with that because it's very close and very relatable. I remember deciding that I wanted to, run as a majority leader. But the problem was that I am from a minority. Kaduna South is a minority. If we are not aware, we've been having a lot of um, killings, and there've just been a lot of things that happen in Kaduna South, and I am from a minority. And being in that minority, I'm also from the north. And the thing about the north is that men are most likely the ones put in positions of power rather than women. It's not like it's a religious something, it's just the way things are done in the north. It's more traditional than it is religious. And so I had decided I'm going to run for this. Then the night to the election, a couple of guys meet me and they're like, Mirya, you need to step down for this election. I'm like, step down? Why do you want me to step down? They're like, if I do step down, that they are going to do X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. But if I agree to step down, when the person becomes majority leader, they'll give me this. When we are going for meetings, I'll be able to come, etc., etc. And I went back to my room and, after it was like funny how I didn't, we all didn't know there was going to be an election because it's an inaugural cohort, one. Secondly, this is something that I wasn't even saying, oh, I wanted to be. It was as a matter of, I had done things prior to the election that just made people say, oh, maybe I try running. So I went back to run and I decided that, you know what, I'm going to take charge of my life. It's better I fail on my feet than I fail, I win, you understand, but not in the position I want. So the next day was the election and they said, okay, so are you stepping down? I said, I'm not stepping down, I'm going for the election. And the day came, I told myself, I will win this. If I don't win it, no problem. I took a video. I said, I have a good feeling about this. And then I told my story. And this is where advocacy comes in. I told my story how I started as a farmer's daughter, how my dad became who he currently is, how that even when I came, I had done all the work that I did. That is, everyone that had come, not everyone, most people that had come, if they had issues with their hotel, because it was residential, if they had hotel issues or they had plumbing issues or they had shirt issues or they had food issues, I was always there. Now, at the back of my mind, nobody knew there was going to be an election. I didn't know there was going to be an election. So when it came to that day, I said everything I had done since I came to the fellowship. And then I know that these people, their strength is in lobbying, but my strength is in storytelling and making people believe me. And so I asked a question to everybody. I said, if when you came to the LMI, I helped you get a better accommodation, raise your hand up. Some people raise their hands up. I said, if I've helped you with food, raise your hand up. Some other people raise their hands. So hands were going up. I said, if I helped you with shirts, please raise your hands up. They raised their hands up. If I've helped you with this, please raise your hands up. Like almost everybody had their hands up. And then I said, I think it's because I still have goosebumps because I couldn't believe I won. And then I said, wouldn't you rather vote someone that has impact than someone that says they'll make impact, right? And then everybody was clapping. I didn't know I'm going to win. They have done lobbying. I was just saying, this is my story. This is my impact. Vote for me. And at the end of the day, like I sat down in a chair and everybody in the chair were from a different group. They had lobbied them. They now told me, like Kolapa was there, Ufoma was there, Farid was there. These were people that I had never spoken to in quotes because when you come to the LMI, you are, put in groups. So I had never really spoken to them in groups. And they were like, wow, your speech was powerful. They're making us want to shift, right? And then I was like, just vote for whoever you want. Just vote for whoever you want. And then they announced, and I won. Like, they just kept saying, majority, Mirya Sabo, Mirya Sabo, Mirya Sabo. And I couldn't believe I actually won, right? And the only reason I won was because of the story I told myself. I told myself I am possible. And I made people see that I am possible. So what am I saying? When you want to advocate for something, you are literally saying, this is a track record of what I have done, and this is why you should believe me. What storytelling does, it helps people relate with you than they would if you didn't tell the story. You can just give people data. That thing about data analysis also, you can just give people data and say, here is the data for XYZ. But if you don't tell stories with visualization, how does this lead to this, lead to this? How does it affect you? You see that you lose people. So I guess it's already time. Okay, it's almost time. We have 4 more minutes. Just try to unmute. How is your story writing going? Please let me know how your story writing is going. And you don't have to turn on your camera, just unmute. Are you still writing your story? Let me know. Okay, Salvation, you're still writing your story. Awesome. Chiamaka. Okay, still writing. Thank you. Anyone else still writing? Okay, still writing. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So now that we have seen a story and what storytelling can, do in advocacy, I'm sure that everyone has a story, which is what we're going to go to. But first and foremost, what is even advocacy, right? If they say advocate, what is advocacy? For me, advocacy is basically like a public support for a cause or an issue, right? So maybe say there is an issue that is that it says it's the person that wears the shoe that feels the pain. There's something that is painful. There's an issue, there's a problem. Advocacy really means lending a voice to that issue. It means that this issue that is happening now, be it in policy, be it in education, in social impact, whatever it is, this is an issue and you are giving it voice. So basically, it's about creating change and giving people a voice. And that's one thing that, for me, why you say, oh, Mirya, you are passionate in education. Yes, I'm passionate in education because it gives people a voice. It makes change possible. And so when I begin to speak of the work we do at Creeks and Beyond, you'd see it's a story for me, a story for you. I currently work in a law firm in Maryland, USA. I landed that job because of the story I told myself. What was the story I told myself? It's a remote job. What was the story I told myself? The moment I finished school, I came back, we were writing, I think it was period between university to law school. And I was at home and I was going out on a Monday and there was traffic. Oh my God. There was so much traffic, I could hardly believe my eyes. And I said, the reason why this place has traffic, the reason why this place is packed on a Monday morning and people are not with their families is because of money. So I told myself, I would never be in traffic for money. This is the story I told myself. I would never be in traffic for money. So what do you think it would do to my mind? It means that every opportunity to apply for remote jobs, every opportunity for any opportunity for me to not work in an office, I'll avoid it. Any opportunity for me to work remote, I'm going to chase it. What I'm trying to say is the story we tell ourselves affects the way life happens to us. The story you tell concerning an issue affects the way people see that issue, right? And so when I finally got the opportunity to apply for a job, I held it because I told myself that this is my opportunity. I held that interview like the interviewer was on ransom because this is the story I told myself, and this is the story you should believe. And during my interview, I told a story how that, I finished school and I want to see what the world has to offer outside Nigeria. I want to learn. I want to expand my wings. How that I've started Creeks and Beyond, the work I do. However, having international reach, international clients who strengthen the work I do and cause more impact. What have I done? I told a story. I sold myself. I got the job. Right. So really, I keep repeating telling a story. How do you frame a story? It's time now. So I think I want, if you are ready to just read your story or share your screen, I'll be more than willing to make that happen before I go into the steps on how to. Okay, Salvation, you want to share your story? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. Okay, so I was in a civic education class when I was in SS1, and my teacher mentioned rape as one of the social vices in our society. And at the moment I heard the word, I knew that something was wrong. I began to feel very uncomfortable and extremely tensed. I knew that I could relate with what he was explaining and teaching at that moment. So after the class, I knew I was going to like ask questions and try to get more details about rape, sexual abuse. And so out of my curiosity, yeah, my curiosity led me to like asking question about rape, sexual abuse, about perpetrator. And then after much pressing that I did, I knew that I accepted that I was sexually abused, and one of the person that sexually abused me was a pastor, and then it happened right there in my father's house, and my parents are pastors, so they hosted this set of ministers. Yeah, they came for a crusade in our local community, and then my parents hosted them, so he had access to me, and then he sexually abused me. So right from there, I knew that there's a spark because I really do not want people to go through that because I started feeling it. I didn't even know that I was sexually abused. I didn't know it was an abuse. I never thought of it. So from then I knew that I don't want people to go through it because everything that happened to me kept coming back right from that day. Like, and it really affected me in school. And but I knew that I'm a fighter, yeah. Once I'm not doing this, once something broke me down or something is I'm being trapped, I know I want to like come out of it and help other people. Then I realized that a lot of people have also been sexually abused around me. I mean, my friends, and would just know that we are going to do something about it. So that's my story. That's my story. And then that led me to start an advocacy project to address rape. And for every time I get to share my story, people key into it because I'm not just talking. I'm talking from a place of what I felt, what I've been through, and how I didn't even realize that it was an abuse. It was an abuse or anything. I didn't even know that someone was doing something very wrong. So I think that's where I stopped. I'm trying to look at the book and see it. Yes. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much, Salvation, for sharing your story. That's very sad and still bold at the same time, right? And I think one thing about having a personal, which I'll talk about, having a personal experience is that it allows you to communicate more with people that are in the same shoe with you. Because how will you understand what I'm going through? How do you say you want to help me if you don't understand what I'm going through? Advocacy is not just for you that is starting a cause, it's for the people you want to help, for the people that are giving support to the help, right? And for the nation or for that environment in general. I think something about law, they said also law is a tree, justice is a three-pronged approach for the victim, for the society, and also for the perpetrator. That's one thing that justice does, and that's the same thing that advocacy does. If Salvation should start a cause She's starting from a place of a victim that has now become what? A survivor, that has now become a voice. She's coming from a place of, I have done this and I am giving a voice to people that do not have a voice. Many people in that situation now, they may want to say, this is what has happened to me. But because of they still depend financially on maybe their parents or the perpetrator, they're unable to speak. And that is where storytelling comes in. When you're telling a story of something that has happened, just as Salvation, like when Salvation told her story, I felt it. I felt it because she was able to, she went deep into the issue. And then because she has entered into the issue, she knows the solution. And so one thing I would say, because like I said, it's very interactive and I'm going to take everybody's story. I'm not giving a generic approach. I'm going to answer everybody's story and help us know how to better take our advocacy by storytelling. One thing I'll say for Salvation, when she begins advocacy, is that she can begin to start having little what is this called? Consultation sessions with young children, work hand in hand with those what do you call them? GNC, right? Work hand in hand with GNC, go to youth churches. So those are her audience, those are the places she can begin her advocacy. Right? She may start on social media, but it will not have as great an effect, that storytelling, except she goes to the youth. And then when she has gone to the youth churches, secondary schools, GNC, those little youth meet up, and she has built, she has built a community of people that have begun to understand what she's saying. If she now begins public advocacy, she has a community of people backing her because they all share the same story. Their story has the same theme. Do you understand what I'm saying? So advocacy is not a generic keep posting on social media. No, is what have you gone through? What would have helped you? And how do you use that thing that would have helped you to help other people? And that way you can craft a story that is, you don't have to speak to everybody. The only time you have to speak to the entire world is if your community has a message for the world. But for you, your message is to your community. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
So what she's looking at is she's not trying to build followers, rather she's trying to build impact. She'll keep increasing the schools she's reaching out to, she'll keep increasing the GNC she's reaching out to, she'll keep increasing the youth gathering. That is how she begins to grow and advocate, because now her people are her people. That way, when she does a video online addressing this issue, she's talking to the people she's trying to help them. Then when she has gotten a solid community, the next thing she can do is begin to have enlightenment sessions for these organizations that her community in. So have enlightenment sessions for churches, have enlightenment session for schools, have enlightenment session to train GNC. Do you see how she's beginning to build? Her story starts from the ground root and then she'll build upward. When she starts those sessions, they'll start inviting her, come and speak to our school, come and train our teachers, that is the way she begins to build. So the story, her story, other people that have similar story come together, they tell themselves a story, they find the solution, they're going to teach other people through storytelling how that solution can be, impacted and can be imbibed, right? So does anyone have another story that we would address? And then since we are like 4, you can address your story, find a way that you can tell it, how you can build and, make advocacy more impactful. Any other story? Shamaka, how is it going? Juliet, Queen, how is it going? Samuel, Tony, how is it going?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
So I don't know if my story is one of pure advocacy, but I'm willing to share it anyways. So growing up, I'm this kind of person that anything easily excites me, right? So let's say I was stuck between what I want to be and what I like. So I always love watching TV growing up, especially advertisements. But then I always wanted to work in a bank. So for well, as a practical Nigerian child, when your mother say the only course that exists is accounting, medicine, pharmacy, engineering, so I figured accounting would be like the best option to work in a bank. So after secondary school, applied for JAMB, applied for accounting, but then I did not get it. So one way or the other, I found myself in marketing, right? So the plan was after first year, I would switch to accounting and follow my dreams. But then I had discovered that the marketing that I accidentally fell into has something to do with the excitement I see when watching adverts on TV or when I read adverts on newspaper because advertisement is under marketing. So then I was stuck between having to follow my professional dream, let me use that word, of working in a bank, study accounting, or go with what I derive joy in, which is marketing. So I decided to take the hard route. And what gave me the morale was I was young, I had time. So I was like, well, I have my seniors in the same class, so I have time. So if I feel like this is not what I want to do, I can easily divert or find another career path. But we just stumbled upon one lecture that they were having one day in our campus then, and then this young girl was basically encouraging people how to follow your dream, how to pay attention to the things you like doing, the things that comes easy for you, natural for you to do, and how you can be able to build on that, right? So when she did it, I felt like that seminar was another thing that gave me the boldness to still pursue marketing outside school. And then it's also, should I say, also increased my morale because I was like, this girl, without her knowing, she helped me a lot. And I'm very sure there are other people out there that need someone like this, especially those that maybe they may have fallen into the wrong course or they feel like the career paths that they are on are not what they want to do. But then I was looking for ways to help people out, right? So what I did was I in my local church, anytime I'm always back home, I would speak to my junior sister and be talking to her normal conversation and be like, how far have you decided the course? What about patience? I've decided what she wants to study. And then these are girls that I grew up with. So I obviously knew, not like I know everything about them, but I know that okay, yes, she's really skilled in this. In our normal camp programs or my conversation with them going to the house. So I found myself talking to most of them, mentoring them, not like serious mentoring, sha, but more like directing them, right? So it was after a while there that one was like, Auntie Maka, thank you for telling me that time that she does not regret the nursing she went to study. And when she said that, I was like, wait, hold on. This thing is a normal thing, right? Like anybody can even think of this idea, like going to mentor young ones and helping them to make right decision of their future. But I feel like they don't do enough of this. So in my little way, I try to talk to young ones, and most times when we're having free time, I would have to beg my elders that let's do a seminar on this, on this, on this, and I also call my colleagues too, and my senior colleagues that I feel like they're also doing well, and then we'll put head together and try to help the young minds. So that's the end of my story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your story, Chiamaka. I can relate. And I wish that while we were in secondary school, when we were even in junior secondary school, I wish that we were told that science class is not just for intelligent people, that there are actually intelligent people in arts class. And that arts class is not for those that fail. And that what was the third class again? This social something, right? They made it seem like only the best of the best to go to science, second best at, third best to go to. So they didn't even help us. There was no structure. So what you're advocating for is solid. But I would say that you have not yet coined a specific title for your story. That's what I would say. You have a strong story. In fact, what you are doing is marketing. You are marketing career opportunities to young people. But you see that there's no a title to what you do. But I mean, if you ask me that you want to revamp your page in a way that communicates this story, it can be a career marketer, right? So what you do for me is very interesting, and a lot of people need that help and they can't find it. It's actually a skill gap that can make a lot of money. It can make you a lot of money if you sit down, But how do you tell that story? You can start. You're a young girl. Now, young girls would relate with you. They are your audience. They're the people that are going to be intrigued, especially if you have results for the decisions you have made. Then you have you have young girls already looking up to you, right? The next set of people are young people. What's their age range? There are people that are in junior secondary school or secondary school, people that are writing WiLG, JAM, NECO. Those are your audience. Those are your target. That is, you can see how we are framing the people you are reaching, right? And then what are you offering? You're offering them clarity. You're offering them direction. You're offering them financial freedom. And you're offering them fulfillment. Because most people in the job they are not fulfilled. So this story you are selling is Chiamaka started confused. She didn't know what to do. She had many passions. She had many alternatives. But she took the hard part. She chose marketing. And now through her market, she's able to market profitable careers to young people. When you speak like this and you tell this story to sponsors, to people that work with Jobberman, to recruiters, you see that they begin to tell you where their skills gap is. Oh, they have need for project managers, they have need for data analysts, they have needs for marketers, they have these needs. They tell you this is what their need is. And then you yourself can begin to create careers that are exciting, fun. And then you have seminars, you share the story that this is where I started. And these are all the careers that you can have also as a young person. This is something I did when I was in law school, right? When I was in law school, I realized that I personally didn't want to do law as in going to courts. Sorry, guys, I like soft life. If you can tell, all my stories have been soft life stories. The story I tell myself. And so I did my law school in Kano campus. And in Kano campus, I said that I have where I want to be, but most people, all they know is doctor, lawyer, engineer. So I got in touch with the law clinic head. I got a couple of volunteers, got funds. We went to the girls' school in Kano, in Bagauda local government, around 200 girls. All they wanted to be is teacher, lawyer, doctor. How much are they paying teacher, lawyer, doctor? So we told them, have you heard about tech? We spoke to them about career opportunities. You can be this. You can be you can be tech, like you can be a data analyst in medicine. You can be a data engineer we expose their mind to the number of things they can do from the comfort of their house, earn in dollars. It was an amazing session. Personally, I was not there, but I had built the volunteers with me, worked on the curriculum to the point where they had my blessings. All I had to do was just to stay and wait for feedback. Literally, they had my blessings, right? So what the story you're telling is a very valid story. You may not feel like you are making much of a difference, but 10 years down the line, the same way someone told the story I helped you, you tell your story to the world and you help other people. So what will you do? You begin to create courses. You begin to create career platforms, opportunities. You begin to create internship opportunities. You go online, get this, and then you say, I can help you. Go here, go there. You take this to, like I said, to schools, young people. And by the end of the day, you see you've built a community of young people that are always coming to you. Now, if you want to business-tize this, you can open a business aspect where what you're doing is, you are revamping CVs, you are training young people, you're connecting them, you're doing interview training. All these things can come if you want to make money, right, out of advocacy. But what you are doing is you are giving young people who are confused a voice. You are giving them a career path. That is a powerful story. And never, I think what I'll say is never feel your story is inferior to any other person. It's your story. Own it. So I have Samuel, Toyin, and Queen Jali Hats. And I just have 20 minutes. So fastest fingers. And Chiamaka, let me know if I helped you to find a direction for how you take your advocacy. Thank you. All right. So Samuel, Tony, and Queen, just I can only take one person, and then I have to go to pointers and the rest. All right. Since there is no response from them, so basically, what is a good story? A good story makes you feel something. It makes you, I don't, have you all gotten to the point where we are reading a book or something and then you begin to feel sad? Or you're angry at somebody? Or you just feel? I believe we've all read books where we begin to feel. That is what a good story does. And that is what Salvation Story did. Salvation Grace, her story made me feel. It touched something in me, right? Chiamaka's story gave freedom. It gave the sense of I'm not alone in walking this path. And that's what a good story will do, right? So it could be happiness, sadness, anger, suspense, whatever it is, that story has to resonate with you and the readers. That's why I'm very specific about building a community. Because once you build a community of people that relate with you, they are the ones that will share your story. They're the ones that will push your story. Just make sure that your story is something that makes people think. Make them have a new idea. Make them challenge the way they're already doing things. One thing a good storyteller will do, I can tell you for free, is it captures your attention, right? And it keeps you engaged. Okay, sorry, please. Veronica, please go ahead. Oh dear, please go ahead. You're muted.
I didn't want to take everybody's stories, but it was really lovely. I got to write one. I don't know if I can share.
Please go ahead.
Do I read it out or do I drop it in the comment section? Which one would you prefer?
You can read it out. You can drop it out wherever it's not available. You can read it out, but we'll not hear your story, basically.
People should not laugh at me if I try to write something. So before I wrote, I wanted to see what I would write on. So I looked at period poverty and period shaming because it's something that I personally have experienced myself, although I did not put in a little bit of myself in the story, but I've experienced something like that. So I titled it Simbi Speaks Up Against Period Shaming. Once upon a time, in a little village called Musha in Nasarawa State, there lived a young teenager called Simbi Adams. Simbi was in junior secondary and had just started grade 9. She loved to read and had just started reading about puberty. She started to learn about adolescence and reading books on puberty and period poverty. One day, while Simbi was in class, she noticed her seatmate Jane was feeling uncomfortable and her tummy was hurting. Simbi reached out to Jane to assist her to the sick bay. However, Simbi noticed Jane had started her period. She quickly got her sweater to cover Jane and helped her to the sick bay. Simbi noticed her classmate making faces and laughing at Jane's plight. Upon returning to class, Simbi sought the permission of her class teachers to speak to her classmates. She educated her classmates about period poverty, and how period shaming is wrong. Rather, she taught them ways to support girls and women during their periods and how they can be advocates for period poverty in their school.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll just ask a couple of questions. Why did you choose this story? What was it about this story that resonated with you that when you told it, you were like, this is the story I'm telling? Like, what was that thing?
I mean, it's something that even as an adult, I could have experienced myself. So, I mean, even as women, I don't know. I'm someone that when I get my period, I don't used to like get pains. It just comes like pum. So sometimes I'll be at work. Sometimes I'll be at places where um, it just takes me unaware. So what I try to do is just try to ensure that I have a pad in my bag. I'm prepared for it. I mean, I got the tracker app on my phone, but sometimes it would happen to you. And I've seen instances where it will happen to people. I mean, growing up young, where you're working, and it would be like people would look at you like, oh, why didn't you know your period was coming? So it's just like shaming somebody, and it makes people feel uncomfortable. And period is something that all women go through at some point, and especially young girls. So it's affecting. I mean, you see it in school where it would take, if someone has that kind of experience, it would take them a while before they come back to school, because I mean, you have to deal with the embarrassment. Oh, this boy I liked saw this. How is it going to affect me? How would they look at me? So it's really an issue that, I mean, affects a lot of girls. And I feel that there's a little of that quiet, silent thing, and they make period seem as if it's a taboo, as opposed to something that all women go through, and we should be able to speak freely about it and support each other. So I mean, that was why I thought about it.
Okay. So I think something I would say also about advocacy and storytelling is that while it is good that you should also feel it, you should have experience what you're advocating for. It's not every time that you experience what you are advocating for, right? Now, Veronica might not have experienced period poverty, but you can see that she's passionate. When she's telling you the story of all the things that could have happened or have happened to someone, you can see that she's also passionate about it. Advocacy can never be from it. You cannot successfully advocate if you don't understand what the person you can. I've hardly seen someone being a good advocate without feeling the pain or understanding what the person is going through, right? Um, I think something about in our Christian Bible, there's something that says that we have an advocate in heaven, Jesus. Why is he an advocate? He has gone through all we have gone through. This is not making it any religious, but it's just to say an advocate can never advocate if they don't feel the pain you are going through, period. And so in any story you tell, make sure that you do especially if you've not gone through it, make sure that you do your research for that topic. You have your facts right. So that when you are speaking on it, people won't say that, what are you saying? Who gave you the audacity? Right. So I would say where there is no personal experience, there should be deep research. She has done her research. She knows what's happening. She has the statistics to back it. And then she has period tracker. She has everything that can help. If somebody say right now, I'm on my period, she's ready to help. Personally, in my car, my pigeonhole, there's a pad, like a full pad. In my bag, all my bags, I put like 2 or 3 pads there. Because you don't know who needs what when. So if someone say and I also have this roll of tissue. So if Mirya, how God, I say I'm ready for you. I personally have not been embarrassed, right? But I can relate as a woman. So what I'll say is for that story that Veronica has is to speak a lot to young girls during puberty, right? Speak a lot to teachers, and then speak because it's period poverty. Hers is very capital intensive, and so her story has to have data, have to have stories from people, because now she'll need sponsors to buy pads, she'll need hospitals, she'll need schools it's very capital intensive because it's period poverty. And so she'll need to have all those papers to give to donors and be like, this is what's happening. Ever since you intervened, XYZ has happened. It's very, very, I think we'll talk about it after if it's something, it's very, very intensive, right? But for something that you have gone through, you can tell your story, you get somebody to help you. If you've not gone through it, you have a lot of work to do, right? So I would say that a good storyteller is one that captures your attention. It can be with the way they speak, the way they use their hands, or the way their voice sounds, or even this the way they write. They can write maybe one paragraph and then a line, one paragraph, and just the tempo in which a person speaks in a way that is very captivating, right? Just make sure that whatever you choose to do is something that captures attention. And so to do that, you can use spacing, you can use descriptions, you can use reviews, you can use cliffhangers. I talked about voice and style. So you have to be authentic to yourself, right? Authentic in a way that allows you to still relate with people, right? And then know your audience. I've addressed this already. I'm just doing a recap. So whatever story you are telling, make sure that you are able to know your audience. And I've told Chiamaka her audience, I've been able to speak to Salvation Groups about our audience, also speak to Veronica about your audience are people that resonate with your story and they will share it at any time because it has a personal impact. So make sure that your audience find the story you're telling to be personal, intriguing, and relatable. Like I said, every story has to be with passion and enthusiasm. I'm not saying you have to be loud and keep making noise, keep making noise. You can be very solemn, but deep down, people feel the passion when it's something that is important to you. Like when I talk about storytelling and advocacy, you can tell like I am passionate about it because my life has changed because I'm able to craft a good story. Why wouldn't I want other people to be able to enjoy the benefit of being able to speak for yourself, of giving other people a voice, right? And then let's say, for example, finally, you've done all these things and you feel like you're not getting it. That's fine. Practice makes perfect. You keep practicing the techniques. You research people in your field. How do they tell their stories? How do people relate with them? You keep practicing until you find that unique blend of storytelling techniques that works for you. I would say in every story, there should be a vision. What do you see your story achieving? Like when you are telling that story, when you're advocating for that purpose, what do you see? When I said I would never enter traffic for a job, what I was looking at was this traffic, this problem. It will never be my problem in Jesus' name. Amen. When I said I want to solve education issue using Cricks and Beyond, because I was like, Belsa was such a calm place. And the people were doing 419, the young people were doing 419. If they had the skills for 419, they can actually learn tech and make good money. It makes a lot of sense. So I didn't want to sleep and be afraid that one young person that see me doing well will come and carry a knife and kill me because they don't have a job. So let me help myself and help them. So my vision was peace and prosperity. And my mission, my second thing would be my mission was to ensure that these young people had the skills necessary to make good with their finances, to make money, to see beyond themselves. Your vision, your mission can be different, you can have any mission so long as it's actionable. You can draw action point from there. The next thing are standards. What standard are you keeping when you're telling your story? Some people use vulgar words. I personally would never use vulgar words. I don't know how, but if that helps you pass across your story, good and fine. But there are standards you should have when telling your story. Okay, is the standard that you're never going to have typographical errors? Is your standard that you are never going to collaborate with some certain people? Is your standard that you're never going to be abusive? Find your standard and stick with it. The next thing is goals. How do you track, measure impact? Is it by the new people you're able to, is it by the followers you're able to get? Is it by the engagement? Is it by impact? But I tell you that advocacy is being measured by impact. So your story should lead to action points that lead to impact. So this story I'm telling, right? This story I'm telling, right? I want young people to be able to have technical skills that help them to make money. Okay, the standard is I'm not going to be abusive. I'm going to make sure that they have the best tutors. My standard is they have the best tutors possible. And then my goal is to ensure that by the end of maybe a sprint session, by the end of 3 months, by the end of 4 months, we have children that are able to work, right? That know the basics of technology. That is my goal. right? So the thing is that once you have this in place, it makes it easy to connect with every other person, right? And I would say, lastly, that whatever story you tell should inspire curiosity. Whatever story should inspire curiosity. And so, hopefully, yeah, 5 more minutes. Yeah, I'm on time. I'm on time. Yeah, 5 more minutes. So I'll take questions now. If you have questions, anything you want to ask me, please go ahead to ask me. If I haven't addressed your storytelling advocacy question, please go ahead to ask me. Sorry, I tell stories, but I don't have an accent because I write. Nobody really hears my voice. I just write. So if you have questions, please ask. I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you very, very much, Mirya. This session was really, I mean, it made me think a lot, and it made me go back to have like a deeper perspective about storytelling. So thank you very much. I mean, this session was so moving. At the same time, it passed the message of ensuring that in your storytelling you have a goal, you're able to have a vision, as well as you're able to build people's curiosity as well as yours. And the way that you're able to say, I mean, you even if you have a personal story, I mean, that's good. If you also don't have a personal story, that's good, because it takes you to do a lot of research and, looking at that other angle of researching, going deep inside, and basically understanding what you're speaking on. I mean, thank you so much for that. So does anybody have any question, or anybody that didn't get to share their story should share theirs? Even if it's one paragraph you have, I mean, that's fine. I think I'll go back to go and elaborate my story and share it as part of my learnings for this session today. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. So any questions from anyone? Or if you didn't get to share your story? Okay. So like for me, I would like to ask one question. I mean, like, so of course, storytelling is good and writing is good. So what strategies can we use? Like, I mean, I wrote my story, I read it out to you. I was able to get feedback from you, but what other strategies, if I'm, telling a story, of I'm trying to pass out a message, what would you advise for me to do to be able to, will I say brush it up, or just get out more better content out?
Okay. So practically, after writing your story, you would have to make sure when you read it, it has some sort of flow. If this is for written content, not just written content, for video content, make sure that your story has a flow. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. Where did you start from? What's happening? What is the end? Right? So, and it should flow, like each break should lead into the other one, right? So, for example, your story, you said from young people, from little Cindy, that she was in school. She's not even the one that experienced it, but just being in school, reading up on puberty, she realized her friend has this issue. From her friend having this issue, they went to the sick bay, they helped her friend. You've started building. While you are building, you are bringing in your audience. You are talking about a relatable situation with them. The flow is going. Oh, this is the problem they are facing. We've talked about it. This is the solution. We've talked about it. And this is the way to make the solution sustainable. So you make sure that it's like a flow. Video content, introduction. The same way you write a written content, you can script your video content and do it. But for written content, you need tools like Grammarly, right, to help you, if there's a mistake, comma, all those things, you need Grammarly to help you refine it. Or if you don't have Grammarly, you need someone to help you reread it so you don't make typographical errors. That's very important. And one thing I would say is document your work in some sort of series. So let's say for this month, you talk about period poverty. Next month, you talk about what people can do to end it. The upper month, you talk about impact stories. The upper month, you talk about how they can partner. So your content shouldn't be over the place. There should be structure. Make it a series, right? In a way that people can trace start to finish. They know where to find what. So that's like a way you tell your story and keep everything together. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, actually that does. So thank you very much. If nobody else has any other questions, would like to say a big thank you to Mirya for coming on this session. Really appreciate you. I mean, engaging us today. I mean, for me, I can speak for me, and I'm sure that all the mentees can also relate. It also made me think back to say, how do we also want to tell our stories at WiLG? How would we tell the story of the mentorship program, and how would we be able to get other people's buying into the program? So thank you so much for today. We appreciate you. We want to say thank you, and we wish you all the best in all your endeavors and the rest of the things that you're going to do. Please, anytime that you want to call on WiLG, we're always here for you. Thank you so much for being here for us as well. Thank you, Salvation. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. See you all tomorrow. Take care.